Fangs and Infernos, it is so great to see you guys. We're at day 2 of New Jersey HorrorCon, and we're kicking it off nice, hot, and heavy, just the way we like it. Of course, we've got the devil, we've got your beloved vampire, but most importantly, we've got Caroline Williams.
Yes, your favorite final girl.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much for giving us some of your time this morning.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And first and foremost, how was the first day of New Jersey HorrorCon treating you? It looked like you had a lot of happy people coming to meet you.
A lot of happy people, wonderful photo ops. We had such a good time. It's an incredible room. There's so many brilliant actors, directors, writers, special effects artists. I mean, and Joe Bob. I mean, come on. He's like the cherry on the cake.
Yeah, there were a lot of people we noticed at the end of the con yesterday that were making their way over to get photos and last minute pictures and stuff with him as well as Darcy.
Yes.
You know, because of course Darcy's Darcy.
Listen, they're faves. They're faves.
Absolutely.
They're faves of mine.
Of course. And speaking of faves, I'm going to jump right in on this one real quick because it was fun to really spark some excitement for you with a fave of yours, a fave of mine, and you were in Veronica.
Veronica, oh my God, it was the best. Look, I'm a huge Glenn Danzig fan, huge Misfits fan, huge Danzig fan. His producer on Veronica, James Cullen Bressack, is an incredibly talented producer and director and writer and creator. And I'd never had a chance to work for him before. And of course, how often do you get to live for even a minute on planet Danzig?
Yeah.
And I thought, I called James on the phone and I begged him, James, I am begging. I don't care what you have me do. I'll bring sandwiches as long as I'm on camera for a few seconds and Glenn is directing me. Whatever you can make happen, please make it happen. And he did. And I got to play opposite one of my favorite creators, Kansas Bowling, of Cuddly Toys. I did. I co-starred in Cuddly Toys for her, which is a wonderful, very avant-garde film. And it was just a wonderful one-night experience. That was it. It was like having a wonderful love affair. And then you leave early in the morning and you're walking the streets of Paris or, I don't know, maybe New York. And I have wonderful memories of it. Yeah, it took a lot of punishment in the press, but I was thrilled.
For sure. And you also talked that you got to go and see the Misfits not long after you were in the movie or shot your scenes.
We got invited. Misfits were appearing at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. That's 40,000 people. And to see the band, the original band, because Jerry Only was touring with them at the time, to see the original band. And he's running through all the lyrics, Vampire, the whole thing. And, you see it with a lot of bands. They'll sing a line and then they'll, point to the audience. To hear an entire audience singing back to him, that is power. That is power. And it was just, we were right stage side. We were right there. It was unbelievable.
And it's just kind of a cool question, and then Devil, go ahead and take it away after this. You mentioned the song Vampire, which of course is fantastic, and we all love Vampira. Did you have a relationship in any way with her when she was still with us?
No.
From paths crossing or anything?
She died, gosh, I can't remember what year she died, but I think she died before I even made it out to Hollywood in '86. But she's got a beautiful grave marker in Hollywood Forever Cemetery, which I can only hope for, because to buy a plot in Hollywood Forever Cemetery is going to run you about $1 million. But, she was obviously very revered, and she was the inspiration for Elvira.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And they had that famous lawsuit,
yeah.
Which she lost. But, she lives on in the minds and hearts of horror fans. She continues to provide an enormous amount of inspiration for filmmakers. So, God bless her.
No, 100%. Yeah, I just wasn't sure if just even before your professional career had taken off, just wasn't sure if you had paths crossed. And since that song came up, Absolutely, for sure. Another person we love, Devil. Take it away.
And like we do, we do a segment where we talk about better sequels and stuff like that. And I know a lot of it's controversial, but we're going to talk about it anyway. We put it up that Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is a better sequel than the original. Talk about working with that, working with Dennis Hopper, working with Bill Moseley, and just being in such an iconic film. To me, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is my favorite of all the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Agreed.
You are so sweet to say that. I see them as like a sandwich cookie, with Toby being the sort of sweet and bitter filling in the middle. You know, the original, Toby intentioned the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre to be a comedy. He thought it was funny as hell.
Yeah.
And obviously nobody else thought of it that way. So he did Chainsaw 2 as a balls out comedy.
Yeah.
And, and if it weren't for the infamous legs apart chainsaw seduction scene, it might have gotten a bigger release, because we were released unrated. And, movie theater owners, it's like this with unrated films. Yeah. So, it did not have the opening weekend that you would have wanted. Back in the 80s, the opening weekend wasn't as decisive, partly because there wasn't as much. VHS was only beginning to come out. Cable television was only beginning to build its audience. So you had to rely on the movie theaters. And, it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. But at the time, I thought this movie's not, I moved to LA after it opened. I thought this movie's not going anywhere. And now, here we are 40 years later. We're going to have our anniversary next year. My relationship to the original were Toby's OGs.
Yeah.
And the only additional chainsaw film that I would really comment about would be Marcus Nispel's version that Toby produced with Jessica Biel. That was a high quality, great film where Texas was still a character in the story. Yeah. And many of these other incarnations shot in Louisiana, shot in Bulgaria, Texas is its own character in Toby's world, in the world of Toby Hooper, in the universe of Toby Hooper. So I hope whoever wins this next incarnation will show some respect for the great state of Texas and let her influence flow through the heart of the film. Oh, yeah. I think it's the only way they're going to find something that's creatively and box office wise rewarding for the audience.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially like that when you're doing that. I don't know what time of year you filmed it, but you have that extra specs of that Texas heat. Dealing with all that kind of stuff, it brings in that extra character, like you said, just being in that Texas atmosphere at the time making that film. And like you said, plus you're doing all the running, you're doing all the stuff like that, you're wearing doing things like that. You're working with, like you said, with Dennis Hopper running around with the chainsaw and stuff like that. So
when we were shooting the interiors of the underground lair, the temperatures reached between 110 120 on any given day. And at one point, a corner of that studio, they created an interior studio out of what was the old press building for the Austin American-Statesman. It's a 3-story industrial construction, the size of the room we're inside right now. And Carrie White, a genius of art direction, created that underground lair. And he sprayed gunite all over the interior, and then he literally decorated every single square inch of that interior. He created tunnels, he created dioramas, he created worlds within that world. And it provided so much inspiration for us as actors, because we literally were trapped inside for hours and hours and hours. But it was a wonderland. It was a weird, demented, bloody version of Oz. And I felt like Dorothy. And it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. I get emotional. I owe everything to Toby and Kim Henkel and Kit Carson and the original cast and crew from the original film. I owe them everything because here we are today, and we're still talking about it 40 years later.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, and then talking about some of the other franchises, and another one we love, working on the Leprechaun and being in the Leprechaun movie with Warwick Davis. Talk about your experience on doing that, and talk about that character, because that character is such a fun character that you've got to play in that.
Leprechaun 3, my favorite movie in the franchise.
I absolutely agree. When I read the script and I saw how Loretta got to change and saw what happened to her at the end, I thought, oh my God. This is a roller coaster ride for the ages. And I loved meeting Brian Trenchard Smith. I wouldn't find out until later that one of his primary fans is Quentin Tarantino. He made a documentary about Brian being an Australian filmmaker called Not Necessarily Hollywood. And it's about the films of Brian Trenchard Smith because he really is an incredible seminal filmmaker. Always has done low budget, making it look like a gazillion dollars.
Yeah.
And, we were all so dedicated to the film, most of all Warwick Davis, because Warwick, he's a little person, but he is literally encased in latex and a mask and costuming. And he's got to move fast every single minute of the film. It was hugely challenging for him. And I know in my scenes with him, I wanted to be as economical as possible. And we were shooting film. We weren't shooting digitally. Those weren't the days.
Yeah.
So you've got to be on your game. You've got to know your lines. You've got to know your marks. And you've got to be on your game. And because we didn't want to exhaust Warwick, but every moment of I've had so many adventures in the movies being an actor, that being one of the primary ones, and the satisfactions once again all these years later of the fans discovering the movie again.
Absolutely.
All these young people and kids, for God's sakes, people discovering the movie again, and its humor, horror humor. There's nothing like it.
Not at all.
And just brief shout out to Adam Green with Hatchet 3. Nobody writes horror humor horror comedy like Adam Green. But John Auerbach, who wrote Leprechaun 3, no, that was Stepfather 2. I have a resume riddled with Roman numerals. The guy who wrote Leprechaun 3 did it justice. Because it's so loaded with laughs.
It really is.
I
mean,
loved
Vegas
it.
alone being the place it took place in just adds to
I know.
that.
And the thing is, the budget was so low. They all drove to Vegas. They shot throughout the night, and then they came back. And they just did guerrilla style shooting in front of the casinos because they didn't have permits.
Right.
And guerrilla filmmaking at its best. It reminded me of my beginnings. I wasn't there, but just hearing about the adventure of it all. I mean, it's,
And then before I give it back to Vampire real quick, because I am the devil and I love my sin and skin. Talk about working with Jeremy Saffer and doing that Daughters of Darkness.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought him up. The guy is a genius. He's a visual genius.
Jeremy's
One
amazing.
day he will make movies. One day he will direct movies. I'm convinced of it. I met him at Rock and Shock, which was, for the ages. Now, Ice9 Kills owns it, and it's called something else. But
Silver Scream.
I was at Rock and Shock. My career was I didn't know what the fuck was going on with my career. I was getting divorced. It was a weird place in life, but Jeremy wanted to photograph me. And the shots he got of me, I looked at him, I went, oh my God, is that me? Because it showed somebody inside that I thought I had lost touch with. And Jeremy has always seen me in a way that I didn't see me. And he said, I know you want to reboot your career. I know everything happening in your life. I think we can make magic. Do you want to do corpse paint? And I was 59 years old. totally nude.
Yeah.
I'd never appeared nude in any movie. I had never done any of that. Other actresses, yes, not me.
Yeah.
I thought, fuck it, I'm going to do it. And he just awakened a world inside of me that I didn't know was there. And we shot for 10 hours that day. And we shot a lot of different varieties of things. I still shoot with him to this day.
Yeah.
I got to use Greg Leitner, one of my absolute favorite makeup artists. The guy does everything. And it was an amazing experience, and it completely rebooted my career. I began getting attention again. People saw me in a completely different light, and I began getting to read for things and act in movies that I didn't think I would have been chosen for before. So it was wonderful, and to this day, I think I've got something, a shoot coming up with him in the fall, further into the fall. Whenever he's back in LA, both of us have gotten so much busier, and but we will find that moment, because he's masterful. He's masterful.
Well, that's what I think, especially when it comes to that, because it's like you think about it, like, okay, it's a book of of pretty much nude women in corpse paint.
Yes.
And you're like, to the most people, you'd be kind of prudish. But the way he shot it and the way it comes out, it's it's art.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's entirely artistic. Yeah. I mean, and I've got photos on my table of other characters that he convinced me to play. He knows how to bring things out in people.
Yeah.
And that's why I continue to say he will direct. He wants to move. He did our behind the scenes and our character portraits for one of my very favorite movies that I've ever done, called 10 Minutes to Midnight, where I play a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
And just masterful. I believe he will be able to do an incredible sort of avant-garde kind of film and direct it in his own inimitable style. Nobody sees the world the way he does.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because he's shot my friend Molly Haining, who's the singer and the main brainchild behind Living Dead Girl. I've interviewed her. She's fantastic. He's also shot Ash Costello. Myself and Mrs. Vamp are both big New Year's Day fans.
Wednesday,
and, of course, our collective friend, Wednesday 13. He does regular work for that camp.
Yeah, Wednesday provided music, especially for our closing credits in 10 Minutes to Midnight. There is literally nothing I wouldn't do for Wednesday. Whatever he asked me to do, he invited me. He's written a song called All American Massacre.
Yeah.
And he invited me and Bill Moseley to intro the band when they played the Whiskey one year. And I showed up in costume and had the chainsaw and danced on stage like a go-go girl. I had an absolute ball.
Yeah,
It still might be
Even
my
the-
favorite Wednesday 13 record, the Skeletons record.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
the live stream that he did, when he did the live stream, when during that time he had you guys on that and stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool. Yeah.
We're both, Bill and I are both very, very big fans.
Yeah.
And, Wednesday's been supportive of our career. We've certainly been supportive of his. And he continues to grow and change in all kinds of interesting ways.
Yeah.
And Wednesday 13, the band, they just get better.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
so good.
I mean, they've grown exponentially. They've had some personnel changes.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was going to be disappointed. I was wrong. The band just gets better.
Kyle, it was amazing, of course, being Dean's son from Journey, but then bringing
Yes.
in Mike from Wasp with all of that history and experience that he has. And man,
Yes.
does Mike look the part.
Yeah,
It's just-
And
tremendous.
even like his really good friend with Roman, and when he decided to leave the band because he wanted to be with his wife,
Yes.
he got in our friend buddy Ashes from Devil Driver and all that.
Ashes
So we're
is
like,
the guy.
he's like one of our
And
good
Devil
friends,
Driver is
so-
also one of my favorite
Yeah.
bands. And I love Dez.
Oh,
I
Dez is
love
amazing.
his wife.
His wife is
I call her
amazing.
Anastasia. I said, I call you Anastasia because you're so cool you need 5 syllables.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're remarkable, amazing people who've been over some mountains.
Yeah.
And
sure.
great bands.
And we saw footage recently of Dez after his fall, and that with shows he's done recently, and he looks like he's made a recovery. He sounds great. He looks healthy. So we were really happy to see that.
They bounced back.
Yeah.
You know, Wednesday invited me to be backstage and hang out for New Year's Eve for Ozfest in 2019. So I got to see Ozzy, I got to see Marilyn.
Oh, nice.
I got to see Body Count.
I'm a huge Body Count fan.
I sat in the
Huge
arena
Ice-T guy.
watching their sound check, and it was just fantastic. And I got to see Rob Zombie, obviously.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was a New Year's Eve for the ages. It was just for the ages. So, yeah.
No, absolutely. And of course,
Devil Driver was there. Wednesday was there. Yeah.
oh, it's just a giant family barbecue, just a giant reunion. It's
So
just so
great.
much amazing. And we don't want to take up too much of your time because you've been incredibly gracious, of course, but there's one more movie I want to touch on, another, part of my brethren, and that you were in Renfield with Nicolas Cage. So I have to ask a little bit about that, because also I've become an incredibly big Nicholas Hoult fan, because I think that he is just becoming an amazing character actor.
Warranted.
And I really, really love what Nicholas has been doing all the way back from, from Warm Bodies, of course, to Nux and Mad Max, and then on to not only Renfield, but then Nosferatu. Anyway, talk a little bit about Renfield.
Number 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Eastwood, I got to talk to him backstage. My younger son is a virtual lock for him. They look so much alike. It's incredible. My son gets told that all the time. Chris McKay, who's the Lego Movie guy, Tomorrow War, incredible director, right? Got the Renfield project, developed it. Universal Studios was the governing party, so to speak. I got to play an attorney named Vanessa to Ben Schwartz's character, and opposite Awkwafina. And I mean, 2 comedy masterminds. It was very intimidating. I never even got to see Nicolas Cage. Never even saw him. I had 3 really great scenes that I was thrilled with. And at one point during one of our takes, Awkwafina went off the book, and she just went. So I came back, and she came back. And we were like playing tennis with our dialogue. And the feeling inside of me, it's like a Roman candle went off in my heart. Oh my God, I get to do this. It did not end up in the movie. It did not end up in the director's cut. But it was a wonderful experience. And then the studio got a hold of it.
Yeah.
And God bless Chris McKay. He invited me to the production office. He said, I want to show you what remains of your performance in the movie. And basically it was about one line.
Yeah.
And I was crushed. But there were other actors who were cut out entirely, and they were bigger names than me. So, and it does happen. I mean, you're going to have that experience. So, I was bummed, but I'm glad I got to do it. I mean, big budget Hollywood movie. I was on the payroll for 10 days. I got to spend 4 days in New Orleans doing Mardi Gras. There are worse gigs.
Absolutely.
It's not breaking rocks.
It's like, oh, you poor thing. Mardi Gras, New Orleans.
And I have a wonderful relationship with Chris McKay. He is a truly remarkable artist, wonderful guy, good friend. I will work for him again in future. I know I will.
Absolutely. And one final thing, of course, for the Fangs and Infernos, please let them know what you can tell them about what you've got looking at for the rest of 2025 to 2026 based on what you're able to talk about.
I've got 2 movies that are going to be coming out next year. One is What Did You Do, starring Jonathan Stoddard. He's a new series regular on, I think, Great American Family. It's directed by Stephen Romano. I think we might be at South by. We're waiting to hear. And then Marrying Mary Martindale, which is, once again, a horror comedy directed by Joshua Lou Friedman. Had a great time on that film. I think people will love it. And I just finished a movie called The Gray. We shot in Croatia. I get to play somebody very, very
Nice. Absolutely. Well, Carolyn, thank you so much.
One more thing.
No, please.
the great and impressive Heather Buckley, The Life and Ghastly Death of Al Adamson. She produced it. She is doing a documentary of the making of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Oh, nice.
And I will be in it among many, many others that you will recognize, and that will be out next year as well.
Absolutely. Well, Carolyn, thank you so much
you.
for giving
This
us a
was
little
so
bit of your
fun.
time. That's always the biggest thing that matters to myself and Devil, is that
I loved
you enjoy
it.
yourself, you feel respected, you felt your time was validated, and that we could be any type of a benefit to your continued success.
And there's nothing like talking about horror,
Yeah.
except to go see it.
Yeah,
100%. Fangs and Infernos, we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. We'll be back later. We're going to have a little bit more fun. He is the Devil. I'm Vampire. But more importantly than that, she is Carolyn Williams. We will see you guys again real soon. Horns up.
Mwah.
Fangs out.